Hi, Dan. Was wondering your take on farmer walks as far as being a longevity lift. I'm going to stop you right there because that's interesting. The rack deadlift, as we understand it now, and actually it's similar to Brett Contreras' deficit deadlift, used to be called something called the health lift. So the second I read that, I'm like, yeah, I like where this guy's head at. It's is this the farmer walk a health lift? Now, I do think right there, this before we even get into the question itself, I'm 62 and I'm still the guy who gets called up to move couches. I'm still the guy who you call up when you're moving. And I think, now I'm 62, and I think it's because farmer walks, they work your grip strength, they work your posture, and they work your work capacity. Now, posture, grip strength, work capacity, we know that grip strength is related to longevity. You can tell by looking at somebody sometimes how old they are, and then work capacity is what keeps you around. That's a 3 for 3 to me on longevity. But now let's read the question. I am mid 20s. God bless you, I tell you. Mid 20s. It reminds mid 20s. When was I? Okay. But already trying to think long term. Thank you. Wear your seatbelt. Don't smoke. Floss your teeth. Go to the dentist 2, 3 times a year. Get a medical doctor about your age and go to him as often as you can. Sleep soundly. You know the basics. That's the biggest thing. Start now with good habits. He also does jujitsu. I am also just generally burnt out from all the other patterns of movement, yet love the effect I feel from carries. I was a little older when I did this, but you're a wise young man, Connor. I remember after I hit 500 squat, I realized I could care less. I wish I'd have never done more than 400. And now I'm starting to think I wish that was even too heavy. Realistically, could you look at this as one big movement to model everything else? Would there be any drawbacks in terms of mobility and movement? Huge fan. Thank you. One thing I would argue, not even disagree with you, but just add, why don't you make sure you do some goblet squats, maybe that easy progression where you go from goblet squat to overhead squat to maintain the squatting movement, and then probably throw in some hangs or pull-ups and some presses and in a weekly format somehow. But I like where your head's at. My only concern is you still do want to do some upper body work in this kind of plane. And I think you want to do some kind of hinge and squat. But hey, man, if you're a little burnt out, take farmer walks seriously, take loaded carries seriously, and let's find out what happens. I know this. I've been lifting weights since 1965. That's a lot of weeks of working out. A lot of weeks of working out. If I decide to say for 4 weeks I'm going to do this or that, I can come. I've got plenty of time to reflect on it and fill in the gaps that I haven't been doing. The biggest issue I see when I work with most people is the gaps. Here are the 5 basics: push, pull, hinge, squat, loaded carry. Most people never do loaded carries. Most people never squat appropriately. Just by doing goblet squats and loaded carries, I can change most people's careers. So